Well, hi guys. I am really grateful that you're here, and I'm really excited to practice yoga with you this morning. Um, yeah, I'm Maddie. I, um, if you don't know me, I'm super thankful that you found your way here, and I will probably say this a lot of times, but I'm really grateful and excited that we get to practice yoga together this morning. Um, Yeah, just a couple of logistical things before we start. I am I'm gonna try my very hardest to speak really loudly and project. Um, but now might be a good time to turn up the volume on your computer or your TV. Um, if I already sound a little bit quiet, but I'm gonna try my hardest to use my loud voice so that you can hear me really well. Um, this practice is going to be somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes. And my hope is that it feels really accessible to anybody. So if this is your first time ever doing yoga and you have no idea what you're doing, um, there's going to be a lot of space for you to just explore what it means to move your body in this way and to worship as you do that. And if you've done yoga a lot of times and you're like a pro, you're probably much more experienced than me, and feel free to modify this as it feels helpful for you and as you'd like. Um, Yoga is something that has been really meaningful for me in my own walk with Jesus. Um, in the last several months, as I've thought about what it means to worship the Lord with not just my heart and my soul and my mind, but also with my body. And I'm so excited that we get to do that all together this morning, that we get to explore worshiping with our whole selves. Um, and to do that in community, in a time where community feels really different and yeah, just different than we're used to. I love all the FaceTiming and the Zoom calls, but I mean, it just is different than being in person together. And I know that still right now we're not in person together, but I do think there's something special that about the fact that we're all going to be like moving our bodies in the same way at the same time in worship. And so I hope that, yeah, that you're encouraged that this space um, is one of community, even if you're physically alone right now. Um, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. My husband Ryan has super graciously offered to be the yoga body for this practice because I learned that it's hard for me to talk and do yoga at the same time. And so he's super graciously offered to do that. So he's going to come and have a seat on this mat, and he's going to model exactly as I speak all of the poses. And I'm going to do them on my mat as I'm able, but generally probably better to look at Ryan because I'll probably be stopping and starting a lot. Um, so if you're not already in one, make your way into a comfortable seated position where you can sit for a couple of minutes. I'm going to share some of the heart of this practice with you and then read scripture, and then we will get started. So make your way into comfortable seated position. Maybe open your arms on your knees as a symbol of receiving, and uh, yeah, just hear these words of the Lord. So I'm going to read Psalm 23 over us. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. Father, I pray that these words that they would settle into our hearts, that they would be words that encourage us in a time that feels difficult. And I pray that your spirit would be here with us, that you would meet us on our mats this morning. And I thank you that we have the ability to worship in this way together. Um, yeah. Father, we love you, and I pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. So stay in your seated position. Um, I want to talk a little bit about this psalm before we begin. So, as I read Psalm 23, there's two images that really stand out to me. The first is the Lord as a shepherd, and the second is the Lord as the host of a table. So, we're going to explore those two images in our practice today and hold them in light of our present reality. So, the first image, the Lord as our shepherd, comes as the author of the psalm first declares that he lacks nothing under the guidance of the Lord. He then tells us that he's led to green pastures where his sheep are fed, and to quiet waters where they may drink. And in all of this, the psalmist declares, he refreshes my soul. The Lord is our good shepherd who provides richly for our needs. And we see that in the psalm. Later, we see that God is a host who not only provides what's necessary as a shepherd, but he even provides in abundance. The psalm says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. God, the host, generously treats the psalmist as his guest. He prepares food for him, he anoints his head with refreshing oil to wipe away the dust and the grime, and he fills his cup to overflowing. And notice too the response of the psalmist to God's abundant generosity. Even though he walks through the darkest valley and is in the presence of his enemies, he expresses confidence in God's goodness and mercy. Friends, that is the posture that I hope we take as we move through this practice today. That we bring our needs to the Lord, who is our good shepherd, and that we receive from the host of the table the abundance that he longs to give us, and that we respond in confidence to his goodness and his mercy as a result. So as we move through these poses, be reminded of this shepherd host who longs to care for you, even in what may feel like a dark valley right now. So we're going to get started. From your seated position, make your way onto your hands and your knees with just a neutral spine. As you inhale, arch your spine and lift your chin up, feeling a release in your back. And as you exhale, round your spine and tuck your chin. Take this movement a few more times on your own breath, warming up to this space and bringing some gentle movement into your body. We're going to be doing some heart opening practices today, which are just poses that open up our chest and stretch these muscles here. We're going to do this kind of as a metaphor for the ways that we're going to be opening our hearts to the Lord's and bringing it to the Lord and bringing our needs to Him, who is our good and providing shepherd. We're also going to be doing some poses where we have our arms open to receive, as a way of saying to the Lord, I have my hands open and I'm ready to receive the ways that you want to abundantly provide for me here. So we're going to start with a heart opening pose. So after your next exhale, come back to a neutral spine and then step your right leg back. And then turn your foot so that the inside of your right foot is touching the mat. Good. And then raise your right arm up and over your head as you come into this first heart opening pose. Begin to consider what your needs are right now, what things you need the Lord to give you in this new and probably unexpected season. Just begin to think about what is it that you need from the Lord. Drop your right knee back down to the mat. Bring your right arm down and under your left armpit as if you're threading a needle. Good. And come to rest on your right cheek on the mat. Good. See if you can send your breath into the right side of your body, the side that feels like it's being stretched. See if you can take deep breaths such that you feel breath even over there. Bring your left arm back up under your shoulder and then your right arm also, so that you're back on your hands and your knees. And we're going to do the same set of movements on the left side now. So step your left leg back so that the inside of your foot meets the mat, and bring your left arm up and over your head in another heart opening pose. What do you need from the Lord right now? Maybe you need community, you need peace from an anxiousness that won't go away. You just need to know that the Lord is there. Whatever it is that you need, offer it to the Lord. Drop your left knee back down to the mat and thread your left arm under your right one so that you're threading the needle on the other side. Good. Awesome. On your next inhale, come back up onto your hands and knees. We're going to do that whole movement again, this time adding a bit more if you'd like. But again, this is your practice. Do what feels good for your body. So either step your right foot back again and raise your right arm up and over your head like we did last time. Or if you'd like a bit more, you can step both feet back into a plank and then shift your weight onto the left side of your body and roll over, good, so that you come up into a side plank. And then raise your right arm up and over your head. And if you want even a bit more, you can step your right foot over your left and onto the ground, good, for a pose called Wild Thing. Take one more breath and then meet back on your hands and your knees on your mat or on the floor, wherever you are. Good. We're going to do that again on the left side. So either step your left foot back or go back into a plank and send your weight into the right side of your body. And come up for a side plank, maybe even stepping your left foot back again. Sorry. Okay, come back onto your hands and your knees. Okay, take a couple of deep breaths here on your hands and your knees. Maybe that was the first big stretch that you've done this morning or that you've done in a little while. Just take some breaths there. And then send your hips back. Open your knees so that they're touching the edges of your mat. And your big toes should be touching each other. And then send your hips back into what's called child's pose. And take a few deep, nourishing breaths here. Good. From child's pose, we're going to come into our first downward dog of the practice. And so you're going to, come back up onto your hands and knees, tuck your toes, and then send your hips up and back. Good. For our first downward facing dog, be really gracious with yourself as you come into this pose. Maybe you need to bend your knees a little bit or wiggle your toes, do what feels good. And then go ahead and walk your feet forward so that they're right behind your hands at the front edge of your mat and just hang in a forward fold. On an inhale, stand up with your arms overhead. And on an exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. And just rest here for a minute with your hands at your heart. Continue to consider what needs you have, what things you really need the Lord to provide for you right now. Drop your hands back to the mat so that they're on the outside of your feet. And then step your left foot back and drop your left knee so that you come into a low lunge. Good. We're going to take a twist here, and so you're going to clasp your hands, and the outside of your left elbow is going to hook around your right knee. Good. And feel this heart-opening twist. If you'd like, you can drop your left hand to the mat and bring your right arm up and overhead. Good. And then we're just going to take a counter twist on the other side. So twist your body so that your right hand comes and meets the mat and your left arm comes up and overhead. We're gonna send our weight back towards your butt, the back end of your body. Um, Good, and come into what's called runner's pose. So you should feel a really deep stretch in the back of your right leg here. And just breathe into this pose. Probably feels a little difficult for 2 more breaths. Good. Now begin to shift your weight towards the front of your body again and lift your left knee off the mat so that you're in a high lunge. And then bring your arms up and overhead so that you find yourself in a pose called Warrior One. Your right knee should be bent at almost a 90-degree angle so that your knee is directly over your toes here. Good. And then you're going to turn your back foot so that your left foot is parallel to the back edge of your mat. Your hips are now square towards the side of your mat, and your arms reach out on either side of you. Strong. Good. And look over your right fingertips. Good. Now from this pose called Warrior Two, we're going to slowly make our way into Warrior Three, which I think is a really difficult pose. And I want to encourage you to, again, have a lot of grace with yourself. This isn't about doing the poses perfectly or being super flexible. It's about knowing that our hearts are being open to the Lord and receiving what He has for us. So from Warrior Two, begin to move most of your body weight onto your right leg. Yep, slowly lift your left leg up and back, bending at your hips here. Going out slow. If you need to hold on to a wall in front of you, whatever you need. Okay. And just breathing into this space. From Warrior Three, see if you can stand up but not let your left leg come to the mat yet, but instead meet the inside of your right leg. It can either be up on the inside of your the top of your right leg or down by your calf. Just make sure it's not over your knee because we don't want to hurt our knees. Bring your hands to your heart and just balance here in this pose that probably also feels a bit difficult. This, friends, is the place that the Lord prepares a table for us. This place that maybe feels physically difficult right now. Maybe you're just in a season of emotional difficulty, your heart is tired. This is the place where the Lord prepares the table and provides in abundance. So good. Step your left foot back so that you come into a high lunge. Good. And then step your right foot back to meet it and come down into a forward fold. Your hands meeting the mat. Good. And then step your feet back into a plank pose. And then drop your hips back for a child's pose. And again, just receive. Maybe start asking the Lord what it is that He wants to provide for you, how He wants to lavish you with His generosity, with His love. Good. When you're ready, push yourself up into downward facing dog again. So tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. So good. Now walk your feet up to meet your hands again and hang in this forward fold. Good. On an inhale, bring your arms up overhead, and on an exhale, bring them down to your heart. Take a few deep breaths here. On your next exhale, bring your arms back down to meet your mat, and this time step your right foot back, and then drop your right knee so that you're in a low lunge on the left side this time. We're going to take that twist again. So clasp your hands, and this time your right elbow, is going to like twist to the outside of your left knee. If you want to release your hands and stretch them up and down, that's awesome. And then we're going to take a counter twist on the other side. So left arm comes down and meets the mat inside your left foot. Your right arm reaches up and over. Send your weight back now so that you find yourself in runner's pose again. Good. Take a few deep breaths there. And then send your weight forward. Lift your right knee up so that you're in a high lunge. Good. Your left knee is bent over your left ankle. Good. Arms can be up overhead or maybe at your heart. Good. And on your next inhale, turn your back foot so that it's parallel to the back edge of your mat. Good. And bend deeply into this warrior two pose. If you want a little more of a stretch, if you don't want to just be static here, you can flip your palms and send them up and back. So send your right arm down your right leg. Good. Or you can bring your arms forward so that your left arm rises up. Or you okay, stand back up. Your right leg now comes inside your left leg so that you find yourself in tree pose again. Take a few deep breaths here. And remember, this is the place that the Lord prepares the table. This is the place where the Lord walks with us through the dark valleys. So good. Step your right foot down to the mat. Come back into a forward fold. Walk your feet back so that you're in plank pose, and then straight from plank pose, sit your hips back into child's pose. Good. We're going to do another little flow here. This time, stretching more of our back muscles, doing some like back bending poses to really continue to meditate on opening up our hearts here. So take a couple of more breaths in child's pose. So good. Come up onto your hands and your knees. And then maybe walk your hands out in front of you 1 or 2 steps so that your arms aren't quite at a 90-degree angle. Good. Then you're going to lower, I'll do it also. You're going to send your hips forward and lower down while bending your elbows here. Coming all the way down onto your tummy. And then on an inhale, you're going to press yourself up and straighten your arms so that you're in upward facing dog. So on an inhale, we're going to come up and feel this good back bend here. Take one more deep breath here. See if you can send your breath even to the back of your lungs. Deep breaths. And then push it back for child's pose. Good. We're going to do that little flow one more time again together. So from child's pose, come up onto your hands and knees. If you need to walk your hands out a little, again, do that. And then slowly lower, bending your elbows all the way down to the mat. And then on an inhale, push yourself up for upward facing dog. And feel this stretch. And then push yourself back for child's pose. Okay, take that little flow about 3 more times on your own breath as it feels comfortable for you. As we move out of the longer movement part of our practice and transition to some more receiving poses and more static poses, maybe we can consider, if you haven't yet, or ask the Lord, how is it that He wants to be providing for you generously in this season? After your third time of doing that flow, make your way up onto your hands and your knees. We're going to do another back bending pose called camel pose. So from your hands and your knees, just stand straight up on your knees. And before we do this pose, you want to make sure your hips are in a good place to be doing it. So you don't want them pushed out super far. You don't want them back with your butt sticking out. Try to find a neutral resting place for your hips right here. And then I like to put my hands as if I was putting them in my back pockets here, just to kind of keep an eye on my hips as I do this pose. And then as you feel ready, on an inhale, you're just going to lean your upper back backwards. Feeling this good, maybe scary or vulnerable heart opening pose. Be careful to take care of your neck. Don't let it flop all the way down, but it doesn't need to stay straight up either. So you can find a comfortable spot for it. If you'd like, from camel pose, you can tuck your toes and reach your arms back to meet your heels here. Feeling maybe a bit more of the stretch in your shoulders. Take 2 more deep breaths here, seeing how much of this middle space you can fill with your breath. On an inhale, come back up, and come back into child's pose. If child's pose with your knees wide feels uncomfortable for you, you can also bring your knees together and then lean your body down. Maybe open your palms up as you rest here. Yeah, maybe if your heart isn't quite ready to receive from the Lord, we can just start with our bodies, making our bodies in a position of receiving. Awesome. Go ahead and make your way slowly into a downward facing dog. We're not going to stay there for long. I'm going to see if I can do this and speak also. So make your way into your downward facing dog. And then raise your right leg up and back. And then hug it into your chest. And drop your right shin down right behind your hands so that your right shin is parallel to the front edge of your mat. And you can start to feel probably a pretty deep stretch in the back of your right leg. If this feels too difficult for you, instead of sitting like that, you can come and sit with your knees bent, start to lean back, and then bring your right leg so that your right ankle is resting on your left knee. And you'll feel the same stretch, hopefully a bit milder. Wherever you're in, whichever position you're in, it probably feels uncomfortable. So take a few deep breaths here. And remember, this is the place where the Lord prepares the table. In this uncomfortable space. good. Okay. Take one more deep breath here. And then, however you need to, make your way back to child's pose. So if you're sitting on your butt like me, maybe just drop your right foot down. Actually, before you go into child's pose, come and find yourself sitting on your butt like this, with your knees bent and your feet a bit apart. We're just gonna like windshield wiper our legs a little bit here to stretch them out after that big stretch. Loosen them up. Good. We're gonna take that pigeon pose on the left side now. So if you got there from downward facing dog last time, go back into downward facing dog. If you did the stretch seated like this, just go ahead and bring your left leg now over your right. If you're in downward facing dog, raise your left leg up and overhead, hug it into your chest, and then drop it down behind your hands. Good. Your left shin is parallel to the front edge of your mat. If you want even a bit deeper of a stretch here, you can walk your hands out and come to rest on your elbows, like Ryan is doing. Especially if you're in a position like this, like Ryan's in, see if you can make sure your hips are square to the front of your mat. So likely your right hip is more forward than your left hip. See if you can situate them so that they're square. And breathe here. So good. After one more breath, either drop your foot to the floor or come up to a seated position if you're where Ryan is. And just windshield wiper those legs again. So good. From here, come to lie down on your back. Good. And then you're going to bring your heels so that they're almost touching your butt. So that if you have your fingers, your feet do stay on the mat. Yeah. So that your fingers can kind of brush the back of your feet or almost brush the back of your feet. Good. We're going to take one more heart opening pose called bridge pose here. Give ourselves a bit more time and space to bring our hearts and the needs of our hearts to the Lord. So on an inhale, you're going to pick your hips up so that they come up and off the mat. Keep your whole feet on the floor. Good. And see if you can tuck your shoulders under yourself a little more so that you can continue to open up your chest here. If you'd like, you can even clasp your hands under your back, rolling your shoulders even a bit more. One more time. Bringing to the Lord the things that you need. Bringing to the good shepherd who leads you to green grass and to quiet waters. To that person, bringing your needs. Good. Unclasp your hands if they're bound. Slowly drop your hips back down to the mat. And before we take our final resting pose here, we're going to take a pose called Happy Baby to just loosen out our backs a little bit. So as you're laying on your back, bring your knees up and into your chest. Grab the outsides of your feet and just roll back and forth. Should feel a good stretch and movement in your back here after all of that back bending and heart opening that we've been doing. And then when you're ready, bring your feet down to the mat. Legs extended long in front of you, hands out by your side. As we come to this final resting position that we call Shavasana. And just begin to relax here. Um, Relax the muscles around your eyes, unclench your jaw, drop your tongue from the roof of your mouth, relax your hips and your feet. Let yourself be heavy into your mat here. Close your eyes. I am going to read Psalm 23 one more time over us as we rest here in Shavasana. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. My prayer for us as we rest here and eventually make our way out of this pose and into the rest of our day. My prayer is that we are confident in the last verse of this psalm that surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives. We shall dwell in the house of the Lord our whole lives long. That's the promise that we get. That's the promise that we get in light of walking through the darkest valley and sitting at a table in the presence of our enemies. That goodness and mercy shall follow us. I hope that is comforting to you in this strange, probably difficult season. I hope that you're comforted by the fact that surely goodness and mercy shall follow you. Begin to bring a little bit of movement back into your body. Maybe wiggling your toes and your fingers, making circles with your wrists and your ankles, deepening your breath, and opening your heart to the Lord, to how He wants to lavish you in abundance and care for you. Thank you so much for practicing. Is a really familiar thing to you or a super new thing? Yeah, I hope that this was a blessing to you. And I'm really humbled and grateful that we get to do it together. Maybe I'll do it again next week. Yeah, I might just start doing this on Saturday morning. So if it does feel like something that was encouraging or helpful to you, come back next week and I'll be here again right before Easter. But yeah, thank you so much for practicing with me. I'll stay here just to close this out peacefully. Yeah, if you want to leave a comment about how the Lord met you, I think that especially since we can't share aloud, the ways that the Spirit might have been at work amongst us, it would be sweet to get to at least hear from each other how the Lord was moving. So if you want to share that in the comments, go on ahead. Personally, for myself, there's something really special to me about the fact that the Spirit of the Lord can be with all of us and moving in all of us, even when we're not together. And so, yeah, just knowing that we get to be doing this together and that the Spirit is with us is really sweet for me and something that's really encouraging to me. So, thank you so much for being here. It was so fun to be together. I hope that the rest of your day is beautiful, and I'll see you next week if you would like to come back. Goodbye. Well, I guess I'll come back to read the comments if that is helpful. Um, but Michaela said something that has been really challenging in this time is finding peace with all that I have to be anxious about. And this was such a wonderful way to find peace. I'm so glad. Um, I'm really thankful that that was true for you, Michaela. And also, hi, and I love you. Hi, Kaden.